All right, folks, good morning. Let's get started here. So for today, Wednesday, February the 12th, we have the following information. This morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, we had core CPI month over month, CPI month over month, and CPI year over year. All three came in higher than expected, which basically means that inflation is not moderating as much as what was expected. Um, Now, the reason they're coming in green is because over the period during the quantitative easing period that basically marked the post uh, financial crisis environment, the idea is that they need inflation, so need numbers to go up, whereas now we need them to go down. So even though they show up at green, it technically is not good any longer. So therefore, this should have showed up actually as red, but you get the point. Now, at 10 a.m. Eastern, we're going to have FOMC member Chairperson Powell testifying again. This is the second day in a row. I think he testifies again. Let me see. No, he doesn't. It's only 2 days. Well, actually, yeah, it's only 2 days. He won't be testifying on Thursday. But anyway, so Powell will be testifying again, so we can expect some significant volatility. At 12 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have FOMC member Bostic speaking, but I don't expect that will have much impact since it's following Powell's speech. At 1:01 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have the 10-year bond auction. And then at 2 p.m. Eastern, federal budget balance. Um, we'll also have President Trump speaking. I didn't see that from before. I guess that was just recently added. Let me just double check here. Hmm. Yeah, this one must have been recently added. So at some point today, we'll have President Trump speaking as well. So there you go. All right. So this was not definitely was not on the list earlier this morning. This was recently added. So um, that must have been added within the last hour or so. And also about executive orders. Okay. So more executive orders to be discussed. Yesterday, we had the same thing, but that happened at 3:40 p.m. Eastern. All right, so let's take a look. So it should be an active day. Let's just put it that way. Should be an active day. All right, let's take a look at the QQQ ETF and see how things are going there. All right, so in the pre-market, you can clearly see that the QQQ ETF here has dropped sharply. Okay, is starting to stabilize, but it did drop very sharply. And again, I believe strongly that is due to the inflation numbers going up, which of course is reason for the FOMC to possibly change their minds about lowering interest rates this year. All right, and having said that, looking at yesterday's action, it was not actually bullish. We were technically bearish because the market had gapped lower and then actually closed in between the price range between the previous days. On that day, the previous session's close and yesterday's open. Okay, so pretty neutral action overall. Let's take a look at what we found yesterday as far as trading opportunities. So yesterday we found INTC, which was very bullish, was able to pass our target number 2 to the upside, no problem. However, we did get ticked out of our position in stock. If you're trading options, most likely you're able to stay within the position, but stock, the pullback was sharp enough that we probably got stopped out right here. Then it went back up and eventually not only passed our T2, but kept going very far beyond that. And then we also had AMD, which was bullish as well, but we had a similar situation where We had a very sharp pullback, which happened right there. That was just before Powell's meeting started. Now, there should have been some time before we had significant impacts because all the information was already known that, before the start, but whatever the case may be, we had an immediate impact, and that actually precipitated us getting stopped out, and then eventually things turned around and kept going. So if you had options, no problem, but if you're dealing with stock, in both cases, you get ticked out. All right, having said that, let's take a look at the pre-market session and see what we have. All right, so we're going to rocket through these stocks since there was a lot to cover earlier. All right, so first up we have AIFF. That is presently up 26.5%, 15.3 million shares, and it's at least $1 per share. We'll go ahead and add that to the pre-market watch list. Symbol is AIFF. That was on the list yesterday as well. Next up is ANAB. This may not qualify. Nope, it doesn't. It's only down 3%. It'll need to be down more. So we'll pass on that one. Next up is CLSK. And that one's not down enough, only 1.75%, so we can skip that one as well. Next up is, I see Holo is showing up on the scanner, but I know that hasn't moved enough. Let's look at some other stocks. We have INTC again. Now that's currently up 5%, which is a lot in the pre-market. Not up enough to qualify for our pre-market list, but worth noting. Next up is KDLY, which is presently up about 32% on 13.3 million shares, and it's at least $1 per share. So we'll go ahead and add that KDLY to our list. Next up is LAES. That's currently down only 4.81%, so not enough. We can pass on that. Next up is Lyft, which is actually down sharply, down 13.83% on 4.3 million shares after earnings were released. And looks like Lyft got downgraded too by a number of companies, RBC, Deutsche Bank, all of them downgraded the stock. So obviously their earnings did not come out as well as what might have been hoped, and therefore the stock is down. So that's Lyft. All right, next up is Mara, MARA, which is presently down 0.87%, so not enough to qualify, but sharp move down, of course, with the rest of the market. Next up is NEUP. That's currently up 12.98% on 2.1 million shares, roughly. It's at least $1 per share, so we can go ahead and add NEUP to the list. Next up is NVIDIA is showing up. It doesn't qualify. And NVDL wouldn't qualify either. That should only be down twice as much. Yeah. All right, so moving on. Next is Open. That's not down enough, only 1.47%. Let's check out Palantir, PLTR. That's down 2.26%, so that's also not moved enough, so we'll pass on that. RGTI, let's take a look. That's down only 0.54%, so again, not down enough. So we can skip that one too. Probably was up enough at one point to qualify for a list, but not anymore. RKLB is next. And that's down only 1.49%, so not enough. We'll pass on that one. Next up is SMCI. Okay, that currently is up over 9.5%, 15.2 million shares, and it's at least $1 per share. So we'll definitely add SMCI to our list. And that's still up after a pretty good drop, so pretty bullish there. Looks like they got an upgrade from at least one or two major banks. SoFi is down, but not enough, so I'll pass on that. Tesla, let's see. Tesla's moving, but not enough either, so we'll pass on that. UPST, okay, that one's up off of earnings. Let's see where we're at. Okay, that's up about 20.5% on close to 2 million shares. Is of course, way over $1 per share, so we'll add UPST to our pre-market list. Again, this is up off of earnings. And then lastly, we have WISA. Oops. That is presently up about 19% on 2.2 million shares. It's at least $1 per share. We will go ahead and add WISA to our list. All right, so these are the stocks we found so far. I'm posting them in the chat. And if you folks see any other stocks that meet all four of our criteria, let me know in the chat. The four criteria are: it must be a NASDAQ listed stock trading at least $1 per share in the present pre-market. Also must be trading at least, must have achieved at least a 6% price change in that pre-market trading. It could be a positive or negative change, and at least 1 million shares of pre-market volume. XLO as mentioned. Okay, that's currently up 113%. 41 million shares traded. It's at least $1 per share, so that definitely qualifies as well. Company announced an option to license. Okay, cool. So we'll add that XLO to our list. All right. All right, folks. So that concludes everything I found. We'll wrap up for today's pre-market pulse. Please be sure to subscribe, to like the video, I meant to say. We have 7 likes, but more than 7 people watching. Please make sure you hit the like button. That greatly helps us with the YouTube algorithm. Also, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you get notifications for new videos. And if anyone's watching this video on a replay and you're not familiar with our company, check out fundertrading.com, our website. You will see a link in the description to this video. Other than that, for everyone as part of the coaching program, I'll see you there in about 21 minutes to pick up for today's session. All right, folks, have a great trading day, and I'll see you for tomorrow's pre-market pulse. Take care.